The city of Arendor shone like a jewel in the vastness of space. Towers of crystal and metal reflected the light of 3 nearby stars, casting colors across the floating gardens and streets filled with hovering vehicles. It was the heart of the Arendor Empire, home to some of the most advanced beings in the galaxy. Yet, among all the wonders, one figure stood out more than any tower or starship: Princess Lyra. Lyra was unlike any other princess in the galaxy. She carried herself with a quiet confidence, her eyes reflecting wisdom far beyond her years. Her long silver hair flowed like liquid light, and her calm voice could command a room without harsh words. But her intelligence and grace were only part of her charm. Lyra had a curiosity about life, a desire to understand beings unlike herself. That curiosity would soon lead her to a human, a species considered primitive by most Arendor scholars. Captain Elias Kane arrived on Arendor in a small, sturdy ship painted a deep blue, its hull scratched from long journeys through dangerous sectors. Humans were known for their courage and resilience, but they were also unpredictable. Some Arendor officials worried about what a human could bring to the Empire. Yet, Lyra saw something different in Elias, not a threat, but a mind that could think, a heart that could feel, and a courage that could match her own. Their first meeting was in the Royal Council Hall, a vast chamber with walls that displayed the history of the stars. Elias stepped in, tall and slightly awkward in his uniform, and bowed respectfully. Lyra smiled at him, her calm demeanor putting him at ease. There was no ceremony too grand, no title too heavy. In that moment, they were simply 2 beings from different worlds, curious about each other. Over the following weeks, Lyra and Elias spent hours together. They walked through gardens where trees glowed with bioluminescent leaves, listened to the music of alien instruments, and shared meals that tasted unlike anything Elias had known. Lyra taught him the language of the Arendor people, and he shared stories of Earth, of oceans, mountains, and skies that were unfamiliar yet magical to her. The citizens of Arendor watched this union with a mixture of wonder and doubt. A princess marrying a human? Many could not understand it. Humans were considered fragile in comparison to the long-lived and highly advanced Arendor species. Some whispered that Lyra's choice was dangerous, that she risked not only her safety but the reputation of the Empire. But Lyra ignored the whispers. She saw something in Elias that no one else did, a strength beyond appearances, a resilience that could survive even the harshest conditions. One evening, as 2 moons rose over the city, Lyra and Elias stood on a balcony overlooking the floating gardens. Elias held Lyra's hand, and the soft glow of the moons reflected in their eyes. "Do you really think humans can survive in this galaxy?" Lyra asked, her voice gentle but curious. Elias smiled, a hint of mischief in his eyes. "I don't just think it, Princess. I know it. Humans survive because we never give up. We face dangers, we make mistakes, and we learn. That's how we grow." Lyra nodded, her heart warming. She had studied humans through records and reports, but nothing compared to knowing one personally. Elias had a quiet strength, a determination that was different from the calculated strategies of Arendor generals. With him, she felt both safe and alive. Their life together was not without challenges. Council members questioned her judgment, and some diplomats tried to use her affection for Elias as leverage. But Lyra remained steadfast. She had seen humanity's potential, and she believed that Elias was not just harmless, he was extraordinary. One day, during a tour of the city's energy core, a vast crystal that powered Arendor's technology, an accident occurred. A minor quake caused part of the platform to crack, sending sparks flying. Aliens nearby froze, unsure how to act. Without hesitation, Elias rushed forward. Using both instinct and quick thinking, he stabilized the platform, saving several workers from injury. The council members who had doubted him watched in awe. Lyra's faith in him only deepened. As days turned into weeks, their bond grew stronger. Lyra introduced Elias to the traditions of her people, the ceremonies that celebrated the stars, and the quiet meditations that connected them to the universe. Elias shared human ways of problem-solving, laughter, and empathy, teaching Lyra that strength was not only in power or intelligence, but also in kindness and understanding. Despite their closeness, there was always a shadow at the edge of their lives. Strange disturbances had been reported in nearby sectors, stars flickering, signals disappearing, and whispers of ancient beings awakening. These reports were dismissed by most as anomalies, but Lyra felt unease in her bones. She could not shake the feeling that the universe was preparing for something that might test not only her love, but the very existence of humans among the stars. Still, in these quiet moments, she pushed the worries aside. Sitting with Elias in the garden of floating lights, watching tiny creatures dance among glowing petals, she allowed herself to hope. She believed in him, in his courage, and in the potential of humanity. She had made her choice, and no counsel, no whispering critic, and no distant fear could shake her certainty. Elias, too, felt the weight of the galaxy on his shoulders, though he rarely spoke of it. He had faced dangers on Earth, yes, but the universe beyond was unlike anything he had imagined. Yet beside Lyra, he found courage he did not know he had. With every challenge, he learned, adapted, and survived. He was not a threat. He was a symbol of what humanity could become. As the sun set on the city of Arendor, casting long shadows over its crystalline towers, Lyra and Elias stood together, hand in hand, looking toward the stars. They did not know what the future held. They did not know the ancient forces stirring beyond their sight. But in that moment, in the heart of a galaxy filled with wonders and dangers, they had each other. And sometimes, that was enough. The peace of Arendor, fragile as it was, began to show cracks. Strange events rippled across the galaxy, subtle at first, then more obvious. Stars dimmed without reason, entire trade routes vanished from navigation charts, and signals from distant colonies were interrupted by mysterious pulses of energy. Scientists and scholars debated these phenomena, but no explanation seemed adequate. Princess Lyra felt a deep unease. She had spent years studying the stars, learning their rhythms and patterns, but now the universe seemed to shift beneath her feet. Reports from outer systems spoke of strange, colossal forms moving through space, shapes that defied logic, yet seemed aware, deliberate, and terrifying. Something old had awakened, something ancient and powerful. Elias Kane, however, did not panic. He studied the reports with careful eyes, scribbling notes and drawing patterns that few could understand. "These disturbances," he said one evening, looking at a holographic map, "they're not random. Someone, or something, is testing the galaxy, and they are watching humans more closely than anyone else." Lyra listened, impressed by his clarity. Many Arendor scholars dismissed the warnings as superstition, but Elias had a way of seeing connections where others saw chaos. "Humans are not known in this galaxy for subtlety," she said, half smiling. "How do you think they will test you?" Elias shrugged. "I don't know, but humans have survived worse. We adapt. We find solutions. Maybe that's why they care." That night, the sky above Arendor erupted in colors never seen before. Auroras of violet and gold twisted across the heavens as energy storms pulsed through space. Citizens gathered, pointing at the phenomenon with awe and fear. Lyra and Elias watched from the palace balcony, hand in hand. "These aren't natural storms," Lyra said. Her voice was calm, but her eyes betrayed her worry. The legends speak of cosmic gods, beings older than our stars. They rarely interfere, and when they do, they demand obedience. Humans, they are considered anomalies. Could this be their doing? Elias remained silent for a moment, observing. Then he spoke, his tone steady. If it is the gods, we need to understand what they want. Humans survive not because they are strong in the usual sense, but because we think differently. We are unpredictable. That's our advantage. Their conversation was interrupted by a sudden message from the Arendor High Council. The council demanded that Elias leave the planet immediately, warning that his presence could provoke these cosmic beings further. Lyra's heart sank. She had chosen him, trusted him, and now the universe itself seemed to turn against them. "I will not leave you," Lyra said firmly, gripping his arm. "You are not a threat to my people. You are my husband, and I will stand by you." Elias looked at her, admiration in his eyes. "Then we face this together." The days that followed were tense. The gods made their presence known in subtle ways. Gravity fields fluctuated, ships malfunctioned without reason, and strange, whispering voices seemed to echo across communication channels. Colonists on remote planets reported visions of towering figures in the sky, beings of light and shadow that seemed to study them as though they were insects under a magnifying glass. Lyra and Elias worked tirelessly. He analyzed the energy patterns, while she coordinated the Empire's resources to protect the citizens. Together, they discovered a correlation. The gods seemed particularly interested in human activity. Systems with humans were destabilized, while regions inhabited only by aliens remained mostly untouched. "This is no accident," Elias said, his brow furrowed. "They see humans as significant. Dangerous, maybe, because we are unpredictable, but not in the way they think. We survive because we adapt. That's our power." Lyra nodded. "Then we must prove it, not just for us, but for humanity itself. If the gods see us as fragile, they will destroy everything humans have built." Their resolve was tested sooner than expected. One night, a massive storm of energy swept through the city. Buildings shook, and the sky was filled with blinding light. Citizens screamed and ran for shelter as towers flickered under the strange energy pulses. Yet amidst the chaos, Elias moved calmly, directing emergency crews and using human ingenuity to stabilize the energy conduits. His ability to remain calm, think quickly, and act decisively amazed even the most experienced Arendor engineers. Lyra watched him, her heart swelling with pride. She realized something vital. Humans were not only capable of surviving the galaxy, they could thrive in it, even under the gaze of ancient gods. Their resilience was not measured in physical strength alone, but in creativity, courage, and the will to act when others hesitated. The gods' influence grew more direct. A massive shadow appeared in the void near Arendor, blocking the light of one of the stars. Its presence caused entire fleets to falter in orbit. Ships lost power, sensors failed, and panic spread among the people. Lyra knew that confronting this threat required more than just technology. It required trust in Elias and the ingenuity of humans. "Lyra," Elias said, placing his hand on her shoulder, "we have something they do not understand. We can work together, think differently, and act with purpose. That is why they fear us, not because we are weak." Together, they devised a plan. Using a combination of human strategy and Arendor technology, they stabilized the city's energy shields and restored communication with distant colonies. They worked late into the night, analyzing the gods' movements and predicting their next disturbances. For every obstacle, humans and aliens worked side by side, creating solutions that neither species could have imagined alone. Lyra realized that humanity's greatest strength was its unpredictability. Where Arendor citizens relied on logic, precision, and tradition, humans brought intuition, improvisation, and creativity. They could see patterns others missed and act when others hesitated. And in Elias Kane, she had the perfect example of these traits: calm under pressure, quick thinking, and fearless in the face of the unknown. Yet even as they succeeded in stabilizing the city, the presence of the gods remained. Whispers in the corridors of the palace spoke of ancient prophecies, of humans challenging the natural order, of beings that could survive the attention of the universe's most powerful entities. Lyra felt the weight of destiny pressing on them, but she also felt hope. Humanity was no longer just an outsider in the galaxy. They were capable, brave, and perhaps most importantly, adaptable. As dawn broke over Arendor, casting golden light on the towers and gardens, Lyra and Elias stood together on the palace balcony. Below them, the city was alive with activity. Humans and aliens working side by side, rebuilding, repairing, and preparing for whatever the gods might send next. Lyra turned to Elias. "Do you think we can survive them?" she asked, her voice quiet. Elias looked at the rising suns, his eyes calm and steady. "Not just survive," he said. "We will show them that humans are not fragile. We will show them that we belong among the stars. And together, we will face whatever comes next." The gods had begun their test, but Lyra now understood that with Elias and with humanity's courage and ingenuity, they might just pass it and redefine what the galaxy thought possible. The sky over Arendor had turned an eerie shade of violet. Stars shimmered and flickered as if the universe itself were holding its breath. Citizens below stopped their work and looked upward, sensing that something beyond their understanding was approaching. Princess Lyra stood on the balcony of the royal palace, her silver hair glinting in the strange starlight, her gaze steady despite the unease that gripped her heart. Beside her, Elias Kane adjusted the settings on a portable device he had created, scanning the heavens for patterns in the cosmic disturbances. "It's coming," he said, voice calm but serious. "Whatever it is, it's not subtle anymore." Lyra's eyes narrowed. "The gods! They are here!" In the distance, the shadows of colossal figures began to appear. They were beings of pure light and energy, their forms shifting and flowing, towering over planets and stars alike. Ships trembled as if the gravity of these gods tugged at the fabric of space itself. Citizens panicked, and alarm sirens echoed across the city. Yet Elias stood firm, analyzing the phenomenon. "They are testing humans," he said. "They want to see what we will do. They don't understand us. They think we are weak. But they will see they are wrong." Lyra grasped his hand. "And if you fail?" Elias shook his head. "We don't fail. We adapt." The first god manifested fully above the city, a being of radiant energy that made the sun look dim. Its voice was not heard with ears but felt in the mind, resonating like thunder across the galaxy. "Human, you stand where you should not. Your kind is fragile. Prove your worth, or be removed from the stars." Lyra's council members panicked, urging her to surrender Elias to the gods. Some even suggested abandoning humans entirely. But Lyra's resolve was unshakable. She had chosen Elias, she had trusted him. And now the fate of humanity hung in the balance. "He is not weak," she declared. "He is human, and he will show you the strength you do not understand." Elias stepped forward, lifting his head to meet the divine gaze. Despite the immense power radiating from the god, he did not flinch. He studied the patterns in the energy around him, the pulses, the timing, the way the light bent as it approached the city. Slowly, he began to move, not away from the god, but toward it, using his human instincts and ingenuity to navigate the unstable energy fields. Lyra watched in awe as he manipulated devices and shields, rerouting energy flows and stabilizing the city. Humans and aliens alike assisted, following his instructions to create a protective network of energy barriers. It was chaos. But it was organized chaos, human unpredictability combined with alien precision. The god's gaze shifted, seemingly intrigued by Elias's actions. Then the god spoke again, its voice like a storm. "Your courage is noted, but courage alone will not save you. Face the next trial, human, or your kind will fall." Without hesitation, Elias activated a small ship he had been preparing, designed to maneuver through the energy storms created by the god. Lyra insisted on accompanying him, standing by his side as the vessel lifted from the palace grounds. Together, they navigated the swirling vortex of light and energy, using a combination of human intuition and Arendor technology. Inside the storm, the god tested them relentlessly. Beams of energy tried to push the ship off course. Gravitational waves threatened to tear it apart, and illusions of terrifying cosmic landscapes appeared, meant to confuse and intimidate. Yet Elias adapted with every obstacle, thinking quickly, predicting patterns, and using the environment to his advantage. Lyra assisted, providing calculations and guidance that only someone trained in Arendor science could offer. Through it all, Elias remained calm. "The key," he said, "is to stay one step ahead. They expect fear. They expect hesitation. We give them neither." Finally, they reached the heart of the storm, where the god manifested fully as a swirling sphere of light. Elias approached without fear, using both his mind and the tools at his disposal to stabilize the surrounding energy. The god observed silently, testing him with visions of destruction, showing him the fragility of humanity, the seeming impossibility of survival. But Elias did not falter. He countered each challenge with creativity and courage. Where the god expected destruction, he brought structure. Where the god expected panic, he brought calm. Lyra's admiration grew with every moment. She had believed in him before, but now she saw the truth. Humans were not fragile. They were adaptable. Their greatest power lay not in strength alone, but in their ability to think, to learn, and to act with purpose under impossible conditions. After what felt like hours, the god paused. Its voice reverberated through the storm, but this time, there was a note of curiosity rather than judgment. "Human, you are unlike any other species we have observed. You survive, not because you are strong, but because you are unpredictable. Your kind may yet belong among the stars." Elias nodded, not with pride, but with quiet determination. "We survive because we care, because we act, because we learn. That is what makes humans strong." The storm dissipated, the light of the god fading into the distance. Citizens of Arendor watched in awe as the skies returned to normal. Ships descended safely, and the city's energy systems stabilized. Yet everyone knew this was only the first test. The gods had acknowledged Elias's ingenuity and courage, but their judgment was not complete. Lyra embraced him, her eyes shining with pride and relief. "I never doubted you," she said softly. "I always knew humans could rise to the challenge." Elias smiled, exhaustion in his body, but clarity in his mind. "We have shown them what we can do, and we will show them more. Humans are not fragile. We adapt, we survive, and we thrive." In that moment, the bond between the princess and her human husband grew even stronger. They had faced the first trial of the gods and emerged not just alive, but victorious. And though more challenges awaited, they understood something vital. The universe had underestimated humans, and that would be its greatest mistake. As they returned to the palace, the citizens cheered. Whispers spread throughout the city. Humans are not weak. Humans can stand against the gods. It was a new beginning, a shift in perception that would echo across the galaxy. Lyra looked at Elias and knew, without a doubt, that together they could face anything. The gods might watch, intervene, or test again, but humanity had proven its worth. And it had done so with courage, ingenuity, and heart. And somewhere in the vastness of space, the ancient gods took notice. The sky above Arendor was calm again, but the sense of tension had not lifted. The city thrummed with activity as humans and Arendor citizens worked together to repair the damages left by the gods' trial. Streets were filled with vehicles carrying supplies, and repair drones hovered above the towering crystal buildings, fixing broken energy conduits. Everywhere, there was a sense of purpose, of determination. Princess Lyra walked through the city with Elias by her side. She noticed how humans moved quickly, improvising when needed, adapting tools and equipment to meet urgent needs. Where Arendor citizens followed strict procedures, humans acted with creativity and speed. Lyra realized more than ever that her choice to trust Elias and his species was not just a matter of the heart, but a decision that could save entire worlds. "They are testing us again," Elias said quietly, scanning reports from nearby sectors. "The disturbances are spreading farther, faster. The gods are watching everything we do. They want to see how we respond as a species, not just as individuals." Lyra nodded. "Then we must act together. Humans and Arendor citizens, side by side. If they think humans are weak, we will prove them wrong." The gods' next move came swiftly. Massive energy storms formed around distant colonies, threatening entire populations. Ships were unable to travel safely, and planets on the edge of Arendor's influence were cut off from communication. Panic spread as rumors of divine wrath reached the ears of those who had not yet witnessed the gods' power. Elias, however, remained calm. He and Lyra coordinated a response, bringing together human ingenuity and Arendor technology. Humans designed rapid deployment shield systems that could be transported across space quickly, while Arendor engineers stabilized the planet's energy cores. The combination of alien precision and human improvisation created solutions that neither species could have achieved alone. On one particular planet, a massive storm threatened a colony of both humans and aliens. The energy pulse was unpredictable, shifting in ways that no algorithm could predict. Human engineers, led by Elias, quickly modified Arendor shield technology, adding flexible energy nodes that could move and adjust in real time. Aliens, who had never seen such adaptability, watched in awe as humans solved problems under impossible pressure. Lyra coordinated from orbit, using her knowledge of Arendor systems to amplify the shields and guide rescue operations. Her voice was calm but firm as she directed humans and aliens alike. "Work together," she instructed. "Follow Elias's lead. Humanity may be unpredictable, but that is our strength. Trust them." The storm raged, crackling with energy, tearing at the planet's atmosphere. Yet the combined efforts of humans and aliens stabilized the environment. Colonists were saved, and the storm eventually dissipated, leaving only a glowing aurora across the horizon. It was a triumph, and news of the victory spread rapidly. For the first time, the galaxy began to see humans not as fragile or weak, but as capable, resilient, and valuable allies. But the gods were far from finished. Their presence grew closer, more direct. Shadowy forms appeared near trade routes, interrupting navigation, testing the responses of fleets. They did not attack outright, but their power was undeniable. The gods were observers, yes, but they were also judges. Every action, every decision was being recorded, measured, and evaluated. Elias realized that this was not just a test of strength or courage. It was a test of unity, of cooperation, of intelligence under pressure. Humans and aliens had to act as one, each learning from the other, each adapting to the unexpected. And they were doing it. Lyra watched him, amazed. "They may have underestimated humans," she said softly, "but now they will see that we can rise to any challenge." Elias smiled, though exhaustion showed on his face. "It's not just humans," he replied. "It's all of us working together. That is what makes us strong. They are testing one species. But the truth is, the universe thrives when beings cooperate, when we learn from one another." As days turned into weeks, humanity's reputation began to grow. Across multiple sectors, humans took leadership roles in coordinating relief, solving crises, and stabilizing regions affected by the gods' influence. Arendor citizens, who had once doubted humans, began to rely on their adaptability, creativity, and courage. Then came the most direct challenge yet. A god manifested near a critical hub of interstellar travel, blocking all routes and threatening the collapse of trade and supply lines. Ships attempting to pass were caught in energy fields that twisted and distorted space itself. Panic spread as the hub's resources dwindled, and the threat of starvation and chaos loomed. Elias did not hesitate. He and Lyra assembled a joint task force of humans and Arendor citizens, devising a plan to neutralize the gods' interference without direct confrontation. Humans would pilot agile ships capable of maneuvering in unstable space, while Arendor engineers used their technology to stabilize the surrounding energy fields. The operation was daring, dangerous, and unprecedented. The human pilots darted through the energy currents, adjusting shields and relays in real time. Aliens provided support from orbit, creating a network of stabilized zones that allowed safe passage. Elias coordinated from the lead ship, his mind moving faster than anyone could follow, predicting the gods' patterns and countering them before the energy pulses could cause harm. Lyra observed, awe filling her heart. Humans had proven themselves again. Not by brute strength, but by intelligence, courage, and cooperation. The god, observing from above, seemed intrigued rather than angry. Each move Elias made, each strategy he implemented, demonstrated a quality the gods had not expected. Humans did not simply survive, they innovated under pressure. Finally, after hours of maneuvering, the hub was stabilized. Trade resumed, and colonies that had been cut off were once again connected. The citizens cheered, their respect for humans growing with every success. Across the galaxy, whispers spread. Humans are not fragile. Humans are capable. Humans can stand against the gods. Elias and Lyra returned to the palace, weary but triumphant. She took his hand, her eyes shining with pride. "I always knew they underestimated you," she said softly. Elias smiled. "They are learning. Humans are not fragile. We adapt, we survive, and we thrive. And now, the galaxy is beginning to understand that too." Lyra looked out over the city of Arendor, shining under the light of multiple stars. She knew the gods had more tests to come. Their gaze was still upon them, still observing, still evaluating. But humanity had proven itself capable of defiance, of courage, and of ingenuity. Together, they had shown the galaxy and the gods that humans were not to be underestimated. And as long as they stood together, hand in hand, there was no challenge too great for the resilience of humanity. The gods may have created trials to test them, but Elias Kane and the people of Earth had shown that sometimes defiance and courage were the greatest strengths of all. The galaxy was quiet, but only for a moment. The gods had observed humanity's ingenuity, courage, and unity, yet their judgment was not complete. A final test loomed, one that would determine the place of humans in the stars. Princess Lyra stood beside Elias Kane on the balcony of the Arendor Palace. Below them, the city hummed with activity. Ships prepared for long journeys, engineers fine-tuned energy shields, and citizens worked with a sense of purpose born from trials they had survived. "They are coming," Elias said quietly, his gaze fixed on the sky. "This is the final test. We must be ready for whatever they send." Lyra placed her hand on his shoulder. "And we will face it together. We have already shown them what humans can do. Now it is time to show them who we truly are." Without warning, the heavens tore open with light. Colossal beings of energy and shadow manifested, stretching across the void like living stars. Their presence was overwhelming, their power undeniable. Ships trembled, shields flickered, and citizens watched in awe and fear. The gods were here, not as distant observers, but as active judges. Elias took a deep breath, steadying himself. "This is not just about courage," he said. "It's about ingenuity, empathy, and unity. The gods want to see if humanity can rise above fear and act with purpose. That is our strength." The gods sent waves of energy that bent space itself, creating storms that could destroy planets. Human pilots darted through the chaos, improvising maneuvers that no alien algorithm could predict. Elias directed operations, adjusting shields, rerouting power, and creating paths through the storms. Lyra coordinated from orbit, amplifying energy flows and providing real-time guidance. Together, humans and aliens moved as one, responding to every challenge with precision and creativity. One by one, the gods sent illusions of devastation, collapsing cities, dying stars, and entire fleets destroyed. Each vision tested the courage of the people, trying to instill despair. Yet humans did not falter. They adapted, learning from each illusion, finding solutions to problems that seemed impossible. They saved colonies, stabilized fleets, and repaired energy fields faster than the gods could anticipate. The gods watched in silence, their immense forms observing every action. Their voices echoed through the minds of all present. "Human, can your kind endure this final trial? Can you rise beyond fear, beyond weakness, beyond what we believed possible?" Elias stepped forward, his eyes calm, his mind focused. "We endure because we care. We survive because we learn. We rise because we act together. That is what makes humans strong." The gods responded with a challenge that tested Elias personally. A collapsing star system threatened to annihilate a human colony and a nearby Arendor settlement. The gravitational forces were unpredictable, and any attempt at rescue could destroy the rescuers. It was a trap designed to see if a human could balance risk, strategy, and compassion. Elias did not hesitate. He assembled a small fleet of humans and aliens, piloting the lead ship himself. Using a combination of intuition, calculation, and human unpredictability, he navigated through collapsing gravity wells, redirected energy from nearby stars, and coordinated a synchronized rescue. Ships moved like living beings, avoiding destruction while carrying out the impossible mission. Lyra's voice guided them from orbit, her knowledge of Arendor technology amplifying the fleet's capabilities. "Elias, left! No! Adjust the shield matrix! Now redirect the power flow to stabilize the outer planets!" Every move was precise yet creative. Humans adapted to unforeseen changes in the star system, inventing solutions on the fly. The fleet saved the colony, stabilized the star system, and emerged from the collapsing space intact. It was a feat of courage, intelligence, and cooperation that even the gods could not ignore. The gods manifested one last time, closer than ever, their light shimmering like molten stars. "Human, Elias Kane, you have surpassed our expectations. Your kind is unpredictable, resilient, and capable of rising above fear. You have shown ingenuity, courage, and unity. You are worthy." Elias exhaled, relief washing over him. He looked at Lyra, who smiled, tears of pride in her eyes. "We did it," she whispered. "We showed them who we are." But Elias shook his head. It was not just me. It was humans and aliens working together. That is the true strength. That is why we endure. The gods' immense forms began to dissipate, leaving behind a calm and peaceful galaxy. Energy fields stabilized, and stars resumed their normal patterns. Trade routes reopened, and distant colonies sent messages of gratitude and admiration. Humanity had proven itself not just to the gods, but to the galaxy as a whole. Arendor's citizens, once skeptical, now looked upon humans with respect and awe. Humans were no longer seen as fragile or primitive. They were collaborators, innovators, and pioneers capable of standing alongside the most powerful beings in the universe. Lyra embraced Elias, her heart full. "I always knew," she said softly, "but now everyone else knows too." Elias smiled. "Humans may be underestimated," he said, "but we survive, we adapt, and we rise. That is who we are." The people of Arendor and the human colonies celebrated the victory. Ships illuminated the skies in streams of light, music echoed through the streets, and stories of human courage and ingenuity spread across the galaxy. Humanity's place among the stars was no longer in question. It was earned through bravery, creativity, and unity. In the quiet moments after the celebrations, Lyra and Elias stood together on the palace balcony, looking at the stars. The gods had retreated, but their gaze had left a lasting impression. Humanity was a force to be reckoned with, not because they were the strongest or the fastest, but because they were adaptable, courageous, and united. "The universe has underestimated us for too long," Elias said, his voice calm but filled with resolve. "Now they know." Lyra smiled, resting her head against his shoulder. "And together there is nothing we cannot face." As the stars shone brightly above Arendor, the galaxy seemed to whisper a new truth. Humans were not fragile. They were not weak. They were resilient, courageous, and capable of rising to any challenge, even though set by gods themselves. Humanity had proven its worth, and the galaxy would never underestimate them again. Elias took Lyra's hand, feeling the strength not only in her but in all of humanity. "This is just the beginning," he said. "The stars are ours to explore, to protect, and to thrive in. And we will do it, together." Princess Lyra nodded. "Yes, together. Humanity has shown the universe who they truly are, and this is only the first step." In that moment, as two suns rose over Arendor, a new era began. Humans were no longer outsiders or fragile beings in the vastness of space. They were pioneers, heroes, and equals among the stars, and their story, led by courage, ingenuity, and unity, would echo across the galaxy for generations to come.